Welcome back, everyone, to the Children First Family Law Podcast. And I am really excited again to have with us Christina McGhee, who is a parenting expert. She is on the front lines training people to be good co-parent coaches and really encouraging parents to be better. She's got a refreshing optimism about her, which if you all have listened to the first episode we did together about how to talk to your kids about divorce, you will recall that she really has great ideas and great things to kind of grab for parents and for professionals to grab onto. So welcome back. I'm really glad you're here again.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So today we are going to hit the topic that we sort of started addressing just slightly last time you were with us about early days of parenting plans. What do we do initially when we've decided that we're going to break up the family unit as we know it? Often that's divorce. Often it's legal separation. Sometimes it's just parents have never been married, but they're still breaking up their family. We talked in that last episode about some of the challenges that often we see where parents basically don't sleep in the same rooms and that can happen years before, but kids are aware of it. And so let's talk about, I want to get into some of this about this thing called nesting. People call it bird nesting. I just call it nesting. And also when somebody moves out. So there's a lot to cover in these early days, but it really does frame how this goes. It's sort of like how we start ends up kind of being something that really affects children. So give us a little bit, of thoughts as to when we start that topic. I know it's a big topic.
It is a big topic. I think, and it's become a really pertinent one. I think now more than ever, like when we look at the economics, right, of our current culture and society, right, a lot of people are struggling. Houses prices are through the roof, and I'm seeing more and more parents that are opting for getting creative about how they move through this transition. And two of the ones that I'm seeing the most is one is nesting, which has been around for actually a really long time. And you're right, it's called nesting, bird nesting. It's not used very often. In my own coaching practice, I have two different sets of co-parents that are giving it a shot. Which is unusual. I didn't used to run across it very much.
And I will say, I have a lot of parents who do this, both in my practice as a individual attorney for parents. I had one set of parents that actually did this through after the divorce was final. Now they were a wealthy family and they had two homes. And so one parent could actually leave fully and they were resourced well enough and the kids were older. So they wanted to kind of let these kids ride out high school. But I get this a lot when I'm in the child advocacy, and a lot of it is economics. So
Yeah.
but let's describe what it even like. What's your second thing? You said one of them is nesting. What's the other?
One of them is nesting. The other is staying in the family home together, not having a parent leave as they're going through the divorce process. And a lot of times this is because of finances.
We don't have a name for that, do we? We need a name for it.
No.
Okay.
No, it's splitting up while you're living under one roof.
Yeah.
Basically is what I would say, parents.
What are some of those key questions people should be answering if they're going to try nesting?
Right. Well, I think first of all, you need to think about things like, can we respect one another's space and privacy?
Right.
That's really big. How will we communicate? Can we communicate? Is there a high degree of workability, cooperation between us? What kind of time frame makes sense? What's the schedule going to be?
Do people actually like stay usually in the same, like, are we taking turns being in the, maybe we should explain it a little better. Like are we taking turns like staying in the master bedroom or are people usually like, I know I'm sure it depends on the size of the house, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I would think for some you might. I don't tend to like dig into necessarily those aspects of it unless clients bring that as like this is an issue. Like, why didn't you unload the dishwasher?
Right.
Right. Like, are we able to leave the place clean for one another when we're switching? What's this going to look like for the kids? What's the emotional dynamics? So things can get kind of messy where you have one parent, and this is a very typical scenario where one parent's already kind of emotionally distanced themselves from the relationship,
Mm.
they're ready to move forward, and the other parent feels shell shocked, like they just didn't think it was this bad. And
Right.
so, if the emotional dynamics are you have one parent that's really hoping that by saying yes to nesting, they're going to turn this thing around and it's not
Mhm.
really going to happen, um, that can create problems. Or you may have one parent who just like they're so ready to move on. That's creating tension. So I think there's a lot of different things that parents need to consider. And if they can check yes to most of those boxes, then maybe nesting might be an option. But again, I'd wrap a time frame on it. And I don't think that it's a bad idea for us to write out our understanding of what this will look like. And the
Mhm.
reason I say that is because it makes things crystal clear for both of you, right? It's one thing to say,
Right.
well, can we be respectful of one another? Sure, we can. Well, what does that look like in day to day life? I had a coaching client once who was really distressed. She and dad had made a decision that they were going to separate. They got two separate households. They sat down, they told the kids, like, this is what's happening, and we need some space. And so for now, this is how life is going to be. The problem was they didn't circle back and tell the kids that they had decided to get divorced and they moved forward with the process.
Mm.
And they never told the kids. And so she
Yeah.
was at her son's um, like classroom,
Yeah.
get to meet the teacher kind of
Yeah. Back to
thing. And
school night or whatever.
kids had done different activities. And she was absolutely gutted because one of the projects that the kids did were how I'm like another student. And what her child had written is, my parents aren't divorced.
Ugh.
And she was like, it never occurred to her that her child might still think of them as possibly getting back together, as still together. Like it just never occurred to her. And again, that's why clear communication is so important with kids, because that wish, that hope that things could go back to the way they were or that they could have been different is really, really hard for kids to let go. Even when parents repartner and move on, there is still some piece of kids that just really wishes things could have been different. And
Yeah.
that's very normal, but a lot of parents, it's just not on their radar. They just,
And the kids don't usually talk about it.
no, no. Or they may hint around, they may say some
Yeah.
things, but as parents, when kids say things that are a little bit uncomfortable, we can be really good at kind of dismissing them or glossing over,
Right.
moving on, not really being in the moment with them.
Right.
Because it's hard. It's hard to
Mm.
say, gosh, yeah, I get that. It is
So, really setting those ground rules is really important, and communication with your children and with each other, like in all of these good co-parenting efforts, involve that. What are the best ways you've found for parents to communicate? I assume it should be more businesslike. It's got to be different than it was certainly in the ending of the relationship that was more usually
Mhm.
probably more conflict ridden.
Right, right. Well, top recommendation is, you know, treat it like a business relationship. And the business at hand is raising happy, healthy kids.
Mm.
And pretty much any of us can probably all relate to the fact that we've had to work with somebody we didn't like very much or we didn't agree with, right? That had a completely different perspective. And so, what does it take to make those situations work? So, what you want to do as a parent is draw upon other skills that you've used in other areas of your life, right?
Mm.
So, we don't get personal, we stay focused on the task at hand. We are polite. We stay respectful. We try to find common ground. Like all of those skills can be
Right.
very applicable to your co parenting relationship. I also recommend that parents also talk to each other in a kind way, communicate with each other in a kind way. And kind stands for kid centered, informative, right? We're sharing facts, not opinions.
Mm.
Nice, like we would to a business colleague, right? And direct. You want to keep it short and focused. Think like a tweet, not a blog. when we're
That's
sharing
funny.
information, right?
Right.
So, did you write a kind reply? Read it over. Did you tick all those boxes? Did you keep it Kent-centered? Did you keep it informative? Right? Were you nice? Were you direct?